Thank you so much, Father, for your valuable insight. Your words will surely continue to motivate and encourage us. As quoted by Steve Jobs, the only way to do great work is to be love what you do. Amidst us, we have one such great personality who is an inspiration for all of us. I now invite Mr. Samir Bendre sir to share his insight on this event. Please, sir.
Good morning, everyone. The Almighty, the creator of this universe, Father Paul, Mr. Govardhan, Kishore, my dear friend, Srijit, members from the industry, faculty, whom I regarded as the people who are really creating the nation for us, and students, IT professionals, and the other gathering here. It's a pleasure for me to be here and really talk about Destination IT Nagpur. Because I remember it was maybe 2003, 2004, 2003, just when we started Persistent in Nagpur. The first discussion which happened that time is that how do we make Persistent and through Persistent's help make Nagpur as Destination IT. It was at that time we partnered with NASSCOM and seeded this idea, can Nagpur be the next Destination IT? It was a time when Mihan was just announced, so it was early days. There was big buzz of big companies coming and starting big units there, and Persistent was one of the early movers for a company which is not based out of Nagpur to come and start up a center here. Over the last 20 years, while we have seen a huge growth in the IT community in Nagpur and around, I would certainly say that while we have grown, we could have grown much more, and that is, these are some things which I'd like to hear from you and sort of share my thoughts on what we can do that we can make Vidarbha and Nagpur as an IT hub. In today's times, when you look at the whole IT industry, there are 2-3 aspects which come to mind. First, what do we need? The COVID situation, the Corona situation told us that we really don't need too much. You need good IT connectivity, which is something which we have. Apart from that, today the business of IT, the world of IT can operate from anywhere in the country. And we've also proven to the world that this connectivity is available in every nook and corner of the country. So if one basic need of IT, which is connectivity, is addressed, the next need is about the people, the right type of people which is there. I think that is another thing which we can proudly say that this region has certainly addressed very well. All the different institutes in this region, starting from earlier VRC, then which is now VNIT, and then all the other engineering colleges coming in this area, we certainly have no dearth of talent here. In fact, when Persistent started in Nagpur, one of the reasons for choosing Nagpur was that we had a lot of people from this region who were going and joining us in Pune. And we said, if they are going and joining us in Pune, they are going to the IITs for their MTech, why don't we create a situation saying that they can work in their own place? I think today we can proudly say that that move of ours has come out very well, but the fact that we have a lot of talent available here, and talent not only in Nagpur but around Nagpur, whether it is Vidarbha, whether it is Chhattisgarh, the regional areas, there is huge lot of talent available here. So then the second problem which is to be addressed is talent. So that is also taken care of. The third thing which we look at from a person perspective, and I am going to talk more from a people perspective rather than from a business perspective, because I come more from a people and the operation side of the world rather than the business side of the world. Because assuming the business challenges which you have somebody saying in Nagpur versus Bangalore or Gurugram is the same, because the businesses, a lot of it is coming from out of India. Given that situation, what do we need is how do we offer all the people who are working here a phenomenal lifestyle, a phenomenal way. And that is where Nagpur really scores over nearly any city in the country. Today, I can proudly say, and having been to many cities in India, having established offices in many cities in India, Nagpur is one of the most livable cities in the country. Given its size, we are the 12th or 13th biggest city in the country, which offers you scale, which offers you which think that, oh, it's not a very small city. In a country like India, number biggest, 13th biggest is a very elite group that you're part of. Even that, the lifestyle which we give, the roads, infrastructure which we have, the issues which we don't have with respect to electricity or water as compared to all the big cities, the lifestyle which we can get, you can get across to one end of the city to the other end of the city in 20 minutes. So the infrastructure which we offer as a city, as a lifestyle which we offer to the city, is absolutely the best in class. You can get what you get in big cities, but while getting that, you're also able to maintain the beauty of the small cities where you can have these connections, you can be with each other. After spending a whole day at the office, you still have an evening for yourself to do something. So these are the beauty things which come to us for Nagpur. So if all these are playing out well, we have phenomenal support from our leaders, whether it is Nitin Gadkari ji or whether it is Devendra Fadnavis ji, we have phenomenal support from that. Then the question comes, is in spite of all this, where are we missing? What are we missing that is not making us the destination which we should be? Why don't we have that our own place in the sun which we deserve? And that is where I certainly appreciate the initiative taken by Srijit, saying that ultimately, whether it is through an informal group first and then registered as in, how do we really conceptualize and create the idea of what I call Nagpur for Nagpur? We are always looking that, hey, I am very happy that Persistent came to Nagpur, Infosys came to Nagpur, TCS has come to Nagpur, Tech Mahindra has come to Nagpur, other companies have come to. But I think our real pride has to come from people from Nagpur who have done for Nagpur. And how do we encourage more and more people from Nagpur to come from Nagpur? Whether Mr. Shashi Chaudhary, who was there last time as the keynote address, the contributions which he has done, whether the organizations like the Infocepts and the other larger organizations have done, the new organizations which are coming up. I think it is time for us to say that why should we rely on somebody else to do this for my city, for my region? It is my responsibility to come forward and say that I will do something for my region. So how do we say that the talent which is available in this region doesn't go from here and goes and works in some other place? Because what we call a brain drain, which we always used to say that Indian brain drain is going to the US and taking leaderships in the worldwide this thing. Similarly, what we see is a localized brain drain, brains from the cities of Nagpur going to the other cities. Give you a current example, a small one. Like yesterday we were there for the opening of the Infosys Center. The head of the Infosys Center here is a friend based out of Bangalore. But he's a guy from Nagpur. Tarang Puranik, who happens to be the center head and senior vice president at Infosys, is from Nagpur. He's a VNIT graduate. 1993 VNIT graduate who's gone there and who's settled down there. And he's this. So how do you get the people like Tarang, people like these things who are not from Nagpur, come back and contribute to the city of Nagpur is what we need to do. And while doing that, how do we ensure the youth of Nagpur is given the opportunity to really change the world? And to this extent, I think today we are in a phenomenal, beautiful place. I spoke about the advantages which is there, but today the IT world is looking for a next disruption. we all talk about generative AI and these things. And as a part of the industry, we believe that this could be the next big disruption which the industry is going to see. And it is at the time of these disruptions that the organizations, the companies, the individuals, the cities, which take this opportunity and really grow and do something different, is what we need to think of doing. How can we be part of this? The last such disruption happened when, about 15 years back, when the whole world spoke about something which we now call as SMAC, which is social mobility, analytics and cloud. Similarly, we are seeing a big disruption now coming up with generative AI. The way we work, the way we do things, the way we solve problems is going to change. The role which IT is going to play in our lives is going to be very different than what we saw earlier. So how do we as a city of Nagpur really take this advantage? And the good advantage about this is going to be a level playing field for everybody. It's not that somebody is very greatly ahead, so they have great knowledge base of this thing. And that is where I appeal to the young engineers of today, the students of today, the young industrialists of today, the young IT professionals of today. Take charge, become more employment creators, create ideas, seed them in Nagpur. The Nagpur ecosystem will support each one of you in doing whatever you are doing in these areas, and look at this as a phenomenal opportunity for all of us to grow. This generative AI is one thing, but more importantly, which people today look at is saying that, hey, I am graduating from this college, I am doing a job here. What are the opportunities in the city of IT? City of Nagpur. Yes, there are far more IT companies here where I can start off, because obviously I need a basic security before I take the risks, and that is what we do. But today I can tell you there are much more better opportunities to take risks than what were there 25 years back and what were there 40 years back. So please take this opportunity to take different risks in what you want to do. The other appeal which I have to all of you, I'm sure you have friends, you have connects who were earlier part of the IT industry, who are now part of the IT industry somewhere. How do you reach out to them and pitch to them that if Nagpur can be the next destination IT, what do we need to do that? This is the first city that comes to mind. Today, when the world looks at the different IT destinations which didn't come through, 20-25 cities come into the list. Where is Nagpur in that list? Is it in the top 3? Is it in the top 1? Or is it in the top 5? Or it is number 25 with the 25? That is something which all of us need to work on. Another change which is happening in the world when I look at the IT industry is lot of the global companies are putting up their centers in India. So there used to be a time when a lot of IT works used to get outsourced to software companies, but the whole concept of what is called GCCs, global centers, global GDC, global development centers of these companies being set up in India, is something which is happening in a big way. And when the GCCs look at different destinations to come, that is where Nagpur can be a phenomenal thing. But what is important is how do we reach them, how do we pitch to them and tell them that, hey, Persistent is here, Infosys is here, TCS is here, it's a great place to stay here. Why don't you look at this thing? There is enough talent here, the Palloti colleges are here, the VNIT is here, government engineering college is here, there are colleges nearby, talent is available, there is experienced talent available here. Why don't you look at these things? I think that is the another big pitch which all of us have to do. If you look at the IT industry, it could be broken into few groups. I may miss some of them, but there could be the BPO activities which is there, which is actually going to see a much bigger disruption, especially with the generative AI and the other stuff. Then you have the traditional IT services, which is primarily doing lot of work which the CIOs of the organizations and all do, and that comes to you, and that is about. Then you have the product development companies which actually make products, which they have their own products. You have product engineering services, which is slightly different from IT services, because in product development, saying your products are being, most of your customers are software companies, and you are working with them to make their products. And today, in the way the software has moved, every company has a product, whether it is a software company or a banking company, there is a software product related to it. Then, of course, then there are what I spoke about, the GCCs which are doing work here in India. So this could be different groups. And then, of course, then we have the very, very beautiful area of what we call the whole world of startups, where they could be doing combination of all the 3-4 items which I was saying, but also be doing what I think could be disruptive. May not be just for the IT industry, but disruptive in their own domains, in the whole areas of expertise. That is where the other area where we look at. So which of these areas can Nagpur be a destination is what I would hope as this day progresses, you all can come up with different ideas and different things which we all can take up further and make Nagpur the destination IT which it deserves to be. When you look at making Nagpur a destination IT, we all, like I mentioned earlier, we are looking up to others for their support, asking them for what we know to do. But what Srijit and team has done, where we are connecting to the people of here, telling them, hey, there are opportunities right here under your nose, which you are not able to see. How do you ensure that these opportunities are known to the individuals? On the other side, how do you go and tell the industry and that you have so many people from the HR community, the recruitment community, also part of your group is very important, because that's the message saying that, hey, one side there is a person who has the needs, there is a person who has the wants. So how do you match the two? That is a phenomenal way to really connect with people. Everything cannot be expected to done from a formal manner. Today the world is a work of connects. It's all about what we call networking. And networking always has two dimensions. One would be what we call the standard structural thing, which a company has an HR, they have a recruitment, this thing, they do that, this thing. But then there is another informal way of connecting, which is where different organizations like this group, or the destination IT group, which can really play a role, which is much more elastic and which is able to focus on what is currently required, quickly change and address the demands on both sides quickly. I'm sure a lot of you are aware, especially people, the younger students of today, plus the faculty would have seen that this year has been a year of low campus hiring. I think that's a problem which every IT, every organization, every college or university is talking about, because the number of campus hiring is low. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Is a question which we need to ask ourselves. Maybe there was an oversupply earlier because the work was there, or is it somewhere creating an opportunity, saying that, hey, you need to think differently? And that is where the IT industry is also shifted. The whole IT industry was primarily based on getting a lot of freshers, doing a lot of the bulk work there, and they, as they move up, other people managing them and they grow up. But if the industry, the way you write your code, the way you do your development is changed from a big long-way code. So you saw some changes in the code when you had first, for the old times, the old C programming type of code where you have to line lines and lines of code. Then you went into an object-oriented code where a lot of things were objects, so coding became much more easier. Now you're going into a low code, when there is some code written, but now from low code to no code to generative AI. When these changes are happening, we as students of today need to look at how do I ride these changes? If I say that, okay, I still want to be the old way of doing things, I'm sorry, but all of us will find ourselves being stuck. We need to look at different ways on how we are going to solve the problems, because what is expected from the other side is very changing at a very, very fast pace. I've said this a few times earlier, and I'll sort of, at this thing of repeating myself, I'll always say this, that in the world of engineering, there is a something concept which concept called half-life. Half-Life for some of the world used to be a very, very popular video game at one time. A lot of online people used to play that game, but the concept of half-life was that anything which I design in civil engineering is designed for 100 years. If I want to design a road, I want to design a bridge, design, and if there are civil engineers here who will agree, you design for 100 years, 50 years is the half-life, after 50 years you do the test. Today also you have so many roads and bridges which are designed 150 years ago and people are testing. But the basic theory says design everything for 100 years. In the world of mechanical engineering, a lot of things are designed for half-life, with a life of 50 years and half-life of 25 years. After 25 years, you need to look at it. I'm not talking about the technology changes which will happen, but I'm talking about the basic machinery, the gearboxes which are designed, the way the hardening of the gear is done, saying that this gear should last for 25 years. That's the half-life of these items. Of course, the technology changes, the disruption, the shapes, those will keep on changing. That is the difference. In electrical engineering, we talk of the similar half-life of over 12 and a half years, which is half of that. Where we say that because of course we went from having the whole electrical systems to where the anodes and diodes went to today the electronics engineering to the integrated circuits to the nanotechnology. Changes have happened on that side, but having said that, the half-life of what we design, whether it is the electrical systems, is typically when you design big panels and all this. But in the IT industry, this half-life is maybe a year, maybe 9 months. After 18 months, what you design today, what you learn today is not going to be relevant. What I learned when I did my engineering, I'm sure some of you don't know, yes, like some of you may know, we did some program in a language called Fortran. We used a database called Power Builder. I don't know if anybody has even heard of it. Those were the things which were the things of those times. Today, those are all gone. You are listening. Java did not exist. Forget iOS and Google and all the things, they all did not exist at all. So that was the time. So today, even Java is seen as only a fundamental based language. You are moved into a lot of other things. Python and R and all came much, much, much later. So given that this thing, what is more important for us is when things are changing at this pace, how do you ensure that you are continuously learning? Learning is the only way that will allow you to be ahead of the curve. So continuous learning is the only way to stay relevant in today's times. If you have learnt and understood this thing, that is the only way you can progress. And for learning, what is most important is to having a good foundation base. If your foundation is good, then learning becomes easy. Otherwise, at some age, some time, you will be struggling to do your learning. It doesn't matter which databases you know. It doesn't matter which theory of compilers you know. But what you need to know is how a database talks to other database. How the basics are this thing. Again, though I am a qualification electronics engineer, I spend a lot of time in the electrical industry, like we were just talking with sir in my previous life, I would say, if in the electrical engineering, if I understood a basic law of Ohm's law, which is a simple law, V is equal to IR is a law which all of us learned in 8, 9, 10 standard, I don't know where we learned that law. But if you know how to apply that law, you can solve any electrical problem today. All other problems are derivatives of that to solve that problem in an easier way. Any law you look at, you say that one law. Whether it is, of course, if it is capacitor, it's just reverse, but it's still the same law. You just know that. Or you have the laws of thermodynamics for looking a lot of the, when you look at mechanical or other engineering facilities. So it is like this to look at how do you look at your fundamentals in the area of computer science and IT be very strong. That is where all of us will first invest our time, get your fundamental down. Then from there you can blossom and branch into anything. The depth, the strength which you will have there, After that, any other skill is something which you can acquire. That will really help you establish yourself first in the IT industry. It will also give you the confidence that when I want to move from here in the IT industry to establish something for my city, how do I want to attract people, how do I want to build businesses here, how do I be the most preferred candidate when I show up at the interview table, will be saying that if my fundamentals are clear, whatever problem you throw at me, I'll be able to solve it for you. Whatever examinations you give, whatever interview questions you ask, I'll be doing them because I know the basics. And that is where I would certainly encourage all the young students here to really spend some of their time on. Let me come back to the, again, the destination IT part of it there. I'm sure you would have heard over the last few months a lot of discussions, a lot of talks by some of our ministers and leaders talking about that Nagpur is going to be the IT hub, Nagpur is going to this thing. They are encouraging, working lots with a lot of the large IT majors in the country, making this whole situation conducive for them to come there. But when, as an IT major, when I look at it, my biggest challenge is not getting the fresh talent available in plenty. My biggest challenge is getting the mid-level talent, because mid-level talent is not always based out of here. They have moved somewhere for whatever reasons. They could have gone for because the best job opportunity came there that time, or moved there because they wanted to do their further studies somewhere or some other reason. So how do you make Nagpur as an attraction for somebody who's mid-level talented? And that is where I would like to put here this thing, that when you look at attracting the mid-level talent, job is one thing, but the ecosystem is very, very important for them. Because when I'm mid-level, maybe I'm just getting married, I have children, I have kids, I have my family, my spouse is working somewhere. If she's an IT professor, maybe he's a lawyer, he's a doctor, or vice versa. So the whole ecosystem has to grow for people to be really part of this thing. And that is where we need to work not only as an IT community, but as a city, saying that you encourage the growth of this whole city. Encourage to that every other facet of the city also grows. Only then the middle-level talent will come back here. The beauty of availability of now many good hospitals and other things, I think that is one area which has been addressed over the year. Schools have come up very well. The number of good schools in Nagpur has grown phenomenally over the last decade or so. So now it is the other business opportunities, other opportunities which we need to create in the city of Nagpur, so that this mid-level talent will come here. If the mid-level talent comes here, the biggest question this mid-level talent feels is that I have joined this company. If for some reason I'm not happy with this job, what do I do? Do I have to change my city? In Bangalore, it is said that if I want to change my job, I may not even have to change my parking slot. Because I may be going to the same building, same this thing, park the car at the same place, just instead of getting off on the 9th floor, I'll get off on the 11th floor. I don't have to do anything. That's the situation there. But how do we encourage more and more organizations to come here? And that is where we, as people from Nagpur, the Nagpurians, the Nagpuris, we need to start more and more organizations and more businesses here so as to attract more and more people to the city of Nagpur. So my two bits here would be that as Nagpurians, how do we establish more and more entities here? How do we encourage more and more startups here? Today, with the focus of innovation, that is where the whole collaboration between the academia, the institutions, and the new startups is going to be very important. So how strong are the academia making their entrepreneurship development cells? How are they putting innovation hubs inside their organizations? How are they saying that, hey, You have an idea, you want to do this, come here, I will give you a small space here, I will give you a few interns, I will give you a few students here, why don't you start doing this? How do we sort of look at it, not as a cost to me, but as my contribution to the city, so that because once these entrepreneurs who are seeded here in this city can grow, they will actually benefit me and my organization in the long run. I think that whole setup is something which institutions today here need to look at in a very different way. And that is which will make a huge difference to all of us. Because I can tell you, when a fresh graduate comes with an idea, wants to start up, some of these ideas may be really far-fetched, whether they can be really addressed, whether how practicality it is, whether it is a marketable idea, all these challenges are there. But before that, to really pilot it out, write it out, that is where the lot of support is required. So whole entrepreneurship development, innovation cells, how do you do these things? Because lots of innovations are going to come through. Innovations need not always be big, they will be small. Just that minor differentiation between one innovation and another can really play out very well. So that is where we need to really focus on. And when you're doing a lot of the innovations, you also need to know that they start up with one innovation, with one idea. As they start working, they may pilot into completely something different. I'll give you an example of Paytm. Everybody has heard of Paytm. Do you know what Paytm started out as? Anybody here? So Paytm, when they started out, they were actually making value-added services for mobile companies. You have these Vodafones and the Airtels, the ringtone feature was there, some of these value-added services for mobile companies. Nothing to do with what they do today. But he was a group of people, intelligent young engineers those time, which got together and started looking at how I can do something different. But they found that whole vast area in the mobile services was not really taking them. And it is through that they realized that some of the challenges where people were seeing in online, and from there they went to Paytm, and rest is history, as they say. So that way, when we encourage the next generation to really have more startup, more ideas, they will come up with something. Tomorrow they may pivot into something different. We spoke about one of the IT man for Nagpur in Shashikant Chaudhary. A lot of you would have studied with him, would have known him as a teacher, professor, friend, everything. When he started his IT industry, what was he doing? He was primarily doing AutoCAD design. That's how he started his company. How many of you know this? Very few. From there he pivoted to what became Lambent. Lambent became Global Logic. He became the MD of Global Logic, and then of course moved on to startup, seed many more startups, and has been the lightning rod for all of us here in Nagpur to look at inspiration, saying that how I can make an impact to my city of Nagpur. So again, look at it, what he would have gone through that time. That is where we need to invest in ourselves and not hope for somebody else from outside come and make this IT a destination. It will be us. Yes, we can ride on somebody else's back. But then who are those people who will come? If I have to, why should somebody sitting in a set place of Chennai or Bangalore sell Nagpur to a GCC in the US? What's his attraction? Why should you expect somebody else to? We need to sell that. So we need to find out our own seniors, our old friends there who will have some connect to the city of Nagpur, will sell our city. So that is where I would leave all of you with. And like I spoke about remaining relevant, one of the most importance of remaining relevant today is to remain agile. Today's times, things are changing, technology is changing, shifts are changing. You need to be agile. If you are not agile, you are going to be left behind in a lot of things. And to this, to credit of city, the city of Nagpur has always been very agile. We have moved in our infrastructure much before our needs. We built a metro here before we needed it. Our roads became bigger before we needed it. Today, when we don't see crowd on the road as compared to a Bangalore or a Pune or a Hyderabad, it is not because what is happening today. Because somebody was before they need 20 years back, 15 years back, saying that आज जरूरत नहीं है लेकिन कल के लिए आज बना लेते हैं. When the Gowari flyover was built, people used to say, क्या जरूरत है नागपुर के लिए? There is hardly any rush. Today you imagine the same road without that flyover. So we have the ability to be ahead of our needs. So let's continue to be ahead of our needs and make Nagpur a destination IT. Thank you.